K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and I am joined tonight by none other than, that's right, we know him as Big B. How you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm doing great tonight. You ready to kick off another great show here?
Another great show of Sports Minute. And then, of course, tonight we're also joined by, well, that's right, we call him J-Mac. And tonight he's Coast to Coast is greater than ASAP. All right. So there you go.
Yep.
All right. So with that, other than that, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad, not bad.
And Brandon, you said that you were doing well tonight yourself, so
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear about
tonight. The Wild forced a Game 7, so good to hear.
And I bet you're pretty excited about that. Anytime a Minnesota team for you is able to get a Game 7, you're actually super excited about that.
Yep, one more game closer to moving on, so that's always good here in Minnesota.
All right, so with that, everybody knows that every single Wednesday that we always do a top 5 list, the top 5 quarterbacks list of some team. And so what is that top 5 quarterback list going to be today? That's right. We're doing a top 5 quarterbacks list of all time for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I cannot wait to hear what some of your guys' list is going to be, because it truly makes me wonder if you guys are going to actually have Patrick Mahomes somewhere in the top 1 or 2. That is the one thing that I was really curious when I was putting this list together on how many people were going to have him, possibly even top 3. I think a lot of people have him in the top 5, but are you going to have him 1, 2, or 3? And so this week, I got to make it pretty exciting here. So we always switch back and forth between who's going to go first every week. And so with this one, this week, we're going to let Mr. Brandon Herrera go first. So, Brandon Herrera, why don't you go ahead and start out and give us your top 5 Kansas City Chiefs quarterbacks of all time?
Yeah, no problem. So, I got Pat Mahomes, number 5, 3 Pro Bowls and, well, technically 3 seasons. I know he played 1 game his rookie year, 1 MVP already, 1 Super Bowl. He's 38-8 as a starting quarterback. He's already accumulated over 14,000 yards, 114 touchdowns, 24 interceptions, and along with his passing, he's also added another 800 yards rushing and 56 touchdowns. So, and his playoff record is 6-2. So, he's my number 4 or 5. I typically don't like to add quarterbacks that are still playing, but you can't avoid not adding him. Number 4 is Bill Kenning. 1 Pro Bowl, a subpar record at 34-43, but he had 17,000 yards plus, 105 touchdowns and 86 interceptions. So not a bad ratio there, but not a good one. Number 3, I got Alex Smith, 3-time Pro Bowler, a 50-26 record. 17,600 yards, 102 touchdowns to 33. His playoff record wasn't the greatest, but he still racked up 12,000 yards or 1,200 yards passing there, and then nine touchdowns to 2 in the playoffs. So I think he got kind of a short end of the stick there when they moved him. Number 2, I got Trent Green, 2 Pro Bowls. 48-40 record, 21,459 yards, 118 touchdowns to 85. And then Len Dawkins, number 1, 7 Pro Bowls, a Super Bowl title, 3 NFL championships. He's 93-56 with 8 ties, 28,000 yards passing, 237 touchdowns to 178 interceptions, 5-3 in the playoffs. So that is my top 5.
All right, and I want to give a shout out to Isaiah Leong that left the first comment tonight. He's saying, "What's up, gents?" So, what is up, Isaiah? I hope you're having a good night. And that's right, the bomb has been dropped. So, if you guys get a chance, you guys could actually go check out the MI6 network. They have great shows over there, sport shows, and they even have a Marvel / and I believe it's a Marvel / DC comic show. I do believe you can check out that show too. That's a great show. I believe for Saturday night they have the Sports Lounge, which they go up late and they talk about, I believe they're up like all hours of the night on that, just discussing sports around the world. They're a great bunch of guys. Isaiah, thank you. We are looking forward to this partnership with you guys. Okay, so with that, J-Mac, we're going to jump over to you and say, you go ahead. You tell me your top 5.
Well, I think my list is going to be pretty close to the same as Big B's. Because, Kansas City didn't have great quarterbacks before Mahomes. So they had some good ones, don't get me wrong. They did have some good ones, but I think it'll be slightly different in the fact that number 5 for me actually was excuse me, I'm struggling with my words. However, number 5 for me was Trent Green when he was there. Wasn't there too awful long before he went to, as we know, St. Louis, and then such is history with him going into with the lore of Kurt Warner. Number 4, I have Pat Mahomes here. I think that Pat Mahomes will end up number 1. I'm not even going to deny that. I think that Pat Mahomes is going to end up number 1. I don't think it's going to be close by the time Pat Mahomes is done. Number 4 for me was Pat Mahomes. All the reasons you listed off and more. Then at 3, now I struggled with the top 3, but you can put a couple of different guys here in a couple of different orders, but I think that at number 3, I'm actually going to go Joe Montana, and a lot of people are going to not be happy with that pick. However, Montana is who he was, and he still had 2 great years in Kansas City when he was there. And he was a great bridge quarterback in his time there. So for me, Joe Montana was great in his time there. Number 2. Now, number 2. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to put Patrick Mahomes here, but I couldn't do it because he's still active. And like Big B said, it's really hard to put a guy that high up on a list when he's still active with a team. But number 2, I have Alex Smith. I think that he did great things, and like Big B said, he kind of got the short end of the stick when he got moved, and Patrick Mahomes came in. But it's been a great move for them. So I don't think that. I don't think in the end that they had to pay for that decision at all. And number 1 is Lynn Dawson. Lynn Dawson, you look at career, I mean, total games started, total games played, passing yards, passing touchdowns, most passing attempts, passing completions. The list goes on. Regular season wins. The list goes on. Should I keep going? I mean, it's amazing what he did in his career there. Lynn Dawson was definitely the number 1 quarterback in Kansas City history. So,
all right, thank you, J-Mac, for that. Thank you, Big B, for your guys' list. So my top 5 list was kind of similar to what you guys have, but I actually went and I put Patrick Mahomes at number 5. And the reason why I put Patrick Mahomes at number 5 was simply for the reason that you guys have been saying. It is so hard for me to sit here and put a current quarterback at number 1 when I know that there has been people that have accomplished just a little bit more. I understand that Patrick Mahomes has won a Super Bowl. I completely understand that. I'm not taking that away from him at all. But it's like you said, a current player, it's hard to put him that far up there at 1, 2, 3. That's really hard at that point. And then number 4, this one was actually hard for me too. So I actually went ahead and I actually put Joe Montana at number 4. It's kind of interesting how, when you think about it, the 49ers actually ended up like getting rid of Joe and not re-signing him because of the simple fact that they thought Joe Montana was too old and he couldn't play anymore. And then what ends up happening? He ends up going to Kansas City and still doing good for KC. That was completely crazy that they decided to get rid of Joe Montana. And then number 3, that's right, number 3, I went with Trent Green. And I know that there might be a lot of questions. How can you put him at number 3? His time in KC, I mean, it wasn't spectacular, but it wasn't completely awful either. If you think about it, you remember that one year with Dante Hall. They had that. Dante Hall was an excellent kick returner. They were having that awesome undefeated. They started, I think it was like 10-0. They started, and then they finally lost their first game. They ended up going 13-3. They were supposed to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC, and then they got trounced in the playoffs, which actually ended up surprising me. I thought that they were by far the best team that year. They ended up losing the playoffs, but Trent Green wasn't horrible when he was the quarterback for the Chiefs. And then number 2, I went with Alex Smith. I just like what he did with KC. I know he didn't put up the numbers like Patrick Mahomes did, but Alex Smith is kind of that game manager type. He doesn't really turn the football over. And he led KC to the playoffs almost every year. He was really, really good with KC. And then number 2, yes, I'm going to number 1. My apologies. Number 1 was actually Lynn Dawson. And I had the same as you guys because of Lynn Dawson with the numbers and everything that he put up. So our lists were similar. J-Mac, my list was similar to yours. I just put Patrick Mahomes at number 5. That was pretty much the only difference. And then put Joe Montana at number 4. But other than that, hey, great list. We don't really knock on each other's list because we completely understand it's on the opinion side of who belongs at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
No, I had a hard time not putting Montana on the list. He had a great career for the Niners, and then he did go. KC had a good 2 years there, and it was hard for me not to put him on the list. But I just thought that other numbers were a little bit better. So.
Hey, this isn't one of those lists that it's like there's definitely 3 guys that are on it. I mean, this list there's 7 or 8 guys you could have put on it, honestly, in my opinion, because there's a couple other guys that we didn't even mention, like Steve Bono was there for a few years and played well. He didn't play great. He didn't lead him to an AFC championship, but he still played good. There's other guys you could put on the list too. So I mean, this definitely was not one of those. There's just 5. And if you don't have them on your list, then it's not a good list because there are so many guys that you could put on that list. I mean, Castle played good there too. Matt Castle, I wouldn't consider him top 5, but I mean, just making a point,
He played okay.
There's definitely other guys you could have put on the list.
So I want to give a shout out to Casey King, who's saying, "Good evening, guys, and welcome." Hello, Casey. I hope you're having a great night, and I hope you're going to enjoy the show. Absolutely. So it's
real quick, I'm sorry, Ace. Just give everyone a shout out. So on my end, I'm seeing that Tim Fielder's watching. Sarge, we appreciate you. Loro Antonio is watching. Shout out to you, sir. And Doreen Culver's watching. Shout out to you as well.
Awesome. I like it. I love it. Okay, so Big B, was there anybody else besides Joe Montana, like you said, that you wanted to throw out there on that list?
I think J-Mac named Bono too. I mean, like we said, I mean, we're not knocking anybody, but for me it was just hard not to, put Joe Montana's name on there. I think if he would have had maybe 4 years over there and had decent years, he probably would have definitely been on my top 5. But Pat Mahomes is just, if it wasn't for Mahomes, Montana would be on my list. So
Yeah, and for me, like if you're gonna go one season, like a lot of guys had one good year in Kansas
Yep.
City. One. I mean, you got a Steve DeBerg who didn't play good anywhere that he
Oh, I
played. I
forgot
mean, he
about the
always
bird.
had, but his 1989 season, he threw 22 touchdowns and 3 picks all year for Kansas City. So you talk about 1 year wonders. There's a bunch of guys that could go on that list for sure.
Yeah, but you got to think almost out of all the teams we've done, there was several teams where we're like they had that 1 year wonder quarterback that you're like I could throw in there at any time. You had a lot of Cleveland Browns quarterbacks that you're like, man, this is horrible. You had the Jets, it was terrible. Jacksonville, utterly atrocious. You have the Carolina Panthers, horrible. I mean, there was just so many quarterbacks that you're like, man, especially the Browns with how many quarterbacks they had gone through. At least there was a decent list with KC.
I know. I completely agree. Completely
Oh
agree.
yeah. That's
Like
all-
I said,
that's all it was
like
a
I said,
hybrid.
there's 7, 8 guys that could have been on this list easily.
Yep.
So I don't. I'm good with any of the guys that were on this list. Now,
exactly.
if either one of you hadn't had Lynn Dawson at number 1, I think we could have knocked that list a little bit because of what Lynn Dawson did in Kansas City. But everything else, I think, was pretty spot on.
Yeah, but I think when you look at that, though, too, a lot of people might look at these lists and be like, how can you not have Patrick Mahomes at number 1?
Three
I think-
compared to what Dawson did, you can't put him.
No,
up
I
there.
get it, but I think people would question it. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
people would question it because of the Super Bowl win, and then he took him to the Super Bowl again. I know that they didn't win it, but he took him there again, and then people are talking about how Patrick Mahomes is now, the best thrower of the football that they've seen, that he's overtaken Aaron Rodgers for that or whatever. So now people would question it and be like, okay, how can you not have him at number 1? Because I've even heard people come out and say that Patrick Mahomes is GOAT 2.0, but we all know how we all feel about the GOAT talk. We've had this conversation plenty of times about the GOAT talk. It's something that we truly don't believe in. We don't believe that there's a true GOAT. We just don't. And it's because of the different eras of football or basketball or baseball. You just can't have a true GOAT.
Exactly.
Yeah, but going away from this topic, we're going to jump into our second topic of the night, which our second topic of the night is the big Julio Jones conversation that is going on right now. So with Julio Jones, basically Julio Jones is coming out saying basically he's as good as gone. He's out of there. That's what he's saying. And the Falcons are basically putting him on the trading block, saying it's basically because of cap space. They don't have a lot of cap space right now, so they need to get rid of Julio Jones to clear up some of that cap space. So, J-Mac, I'll go ahead and I'll start with you on this and tell me, with trying to off Julio Jones and trade him to another team, where do you think he'll go number 1? And number 2, do you even think it'll happen? And is this the right move for the Falcons?
I think it's the right move. I think it's time to rebuild that team. I'm surprised Matt Ryan's still there, to be honest, and that they didn't draft a younger quarterback or try to bring a younger guy in. I mean, they drafted Kyle Pitts in the first round. He's going to be a great tight end, but is Matt Ryan the right guy to throw him the ball? And Julio Jones, you got Calvin Ridley there, and then teaming him up with Kyle Pitts. They're both young guys. So I think it's time for Julio to move on. I do think that. Where will he end up? This could be an interesting take. Everyone probably isn't going to agree, but I think he's going to end up in Tennessee.
Woo.
I think he'll end up in
Bold take.
Tennessee. I think he'll end up there because Ryan. Let's face it. Ryan Tannehill's he's not an elite quarterback. He's not top 10. Mm-hmm. I'll say that, but he's good enough that if you give him a couple weapons, you give him a Brown on the outside with a Julio Jones and Derrick Henry in the backfield. Oh boy.
Oh yeah,
Oh man, that is going to be a killer offense. And so you give him guys that can stretch the field, and then he's got Derrick Henry, so you don't know if he's going to pass the ball or throw it to one of those guys. Look out. He goes to Tennessee. My opinion, he goes to Tennessee, it makes them an automatic contender.
Don't forget though too. They also have AJ Brown.
That's what I
as
said.
the other
AJ
Yeah.
Brown. You have Brown
Yeah.
on one side, and you have Jones on the other side, and Derrick Henry in the backfield. I mean, I'm sorry, that makes them an automatic contender. It puts them right there.
Humphreys in the slot too. So
Oh.
so that's spectacular right there. Now I know you're saying Tennessee. There's been speculations out there too that he could end up going to New England because he's come out and said that he wants to play with Cam Newton. Which to me, I'm like, why do you want to play with Cam Newton? He's come out and shown you he doesn't have that arm strength anymore. He's not the same quarterback that he used to be. I understand that, Big B. I get that they're friends and they're buds or whatever. I completely get that. But you're going to have an unproven rookie in Mac Jones, which let me tell you this. I think that Mac Jones is going to actually end up starting at some point this season. I do. So if you have to look at where Julio Jones is going to go, New England, that's a top spot because he said he wants to play there. I could also see Tennessee, and I completely agree that could make Tennessee a contender. The only problem that Tennessee would have right now is that defense is not very good. That would hold them back drastically is because of that defense. And you even have to look at cap space. The cap space is going to be tough too because a lot of teams this year had to cut players due to cap space. New England has that cap space. This year, New England has spent more money this year than they pretty much ever have, like combined in the whole Bill Belichick era. They just don't spend money, and this year they did. So I'm saying don't be surprised if New England decides to make that play and say, you know what, we're going to get Julio Jones. So don't be surprised if they do that. They drafted their quarterback. They went and got him. They went and signed Jonnu Smith at tight end. They still have N'Keal Harry as a wideout. I mean, they signed a lot of guys. And don't be surprised if they go out and get Julio Jones too.
But then you got Cam Newton at quarterback.
No, I'm
like
saying
you're gonna
though,
go
I'm
out,
saying
you're gonna
though.
go out and you're gonna spend all this money and you're gonna do all that to have a guy go 7 of 19 for 80 yards and 2 interceptions. Like, who gives a crap? You got a guy that can't throw the ball anymore, and you might as well you could put 9 guys in the box against New England. Leave a guy wide open. Cam's not going to hit him with the ball anyway.
Number one though, I think Cam Newton's going to end up getting benched. I don't even think he starts the whole year.
So
they
then
went and got Mac Jones.
So then you have a rookie starting?
That's what it is now too. They like to draft rookies now. They don't even develop anymore. All they do is just draft and say we're going to plug them in.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I don't know what to say. He goes to New England. He's not going to win a Super Bowl.
Do not underestimate the power of Bill Belichick. I'm telling you.
Oh my God! Really? He's not winning another.
All right, Big B. I've said New England and Tennessee. J-Mac has said Tennessee. What are your thoughts on the Julio Jones?
Yeah, it's the right move. I mean, like J-Mac said, I'm surprised Matt Ryan's still there because they need to rebuild. God, for a best fit for him, if Aaron Rodgers went to the GM and said, hey, I'll stay, you get me Julio Jones, I'd like to see him in Green Bay. I think that would help out Rodgers tremendously. It put him in the playoff driver's seat. There's other teams linked to him. I mean, Dallas, Tampa Bay. You said New England. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers and he wants to stay and they're serious about keeping him in Green Bay, then if I'm at Rodgers, I go up to him and say, hey, you get me Julius Jones right now, or you don't count on me at all this offseason. So
I'm telling you, though. I'm telling you. You're talking about Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? I know that they're going to be hurting for cap space here soon, because they have Godwin, Mike Evans, they have Brady, they have O.J. Howard, they have Leonard Fournette. I mean, They have Antonio Brown. They have Gronkowski.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have
They're
signed
hurting.
so many guys
Yep.
that it's. And I know that they haven't signed him for like massive deals. I completely get that.
Yep.
But at what point are you going to be like, okay, I have so many guys, I can't get them all on the field at one time.
And that's the thing is Tampa Bay. A lot of people are going there because they're the defending champs, and all Brady does is go to the Super Bowl. So that's what a lot of people want. There's already been a list of teams: Dallas, Kansas City,
and Dallas
Liverpool.
too. And Dallas too. That would be hard for Dallas because they signed Amari Cooper to a massive deal.
Yep.
They signed Dak Prescott to a massive deal. Ezekiel Elliott, they signed him to a massive
right
deal.
now, the one team that jumps to mind that has the cap space is Jacksonville. But I don't see him going there just because they're young and stuff. But again, a lot of things have surprised me in the NFL over the last few years. That him going to Jacksonville would not surprise me at all. But
What about Washington?
Washington,
With the great defense that they have.
yeah.
I'll tell you what, they had said, and because you're mentioning Washington, so imagine this, right? So imagine if Washington went and traded for Julio Jones, they got him, and then imagine if Washington somehow got in this race and went and traded for Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers went and played for Washington. Imagine that offense with that defense now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine it, and it's a fun game to play, but let's not forget the biggest factor in all of this. The biggest factor in all of this is Daniel Snyder, who has got to be the worst owner in the history of football, and he will somehow mess it up.
Yeah.
So, but speaking more on that, I mean, you're talking Julio Jones going to Washington because they already have a great wide receiver in McLaren. He's already, I mean, he's going to be big there.
But could Fitzpatrick be just good enough to get him in the playoffs
Yes, he could.
defense?
Oh yeah.
Because
They did
he
it
has to get
yesterday.
up
They
his
did it
limit.
yesterday with Alex Smith coming back off of almost an amputated leg.
Yep.
I get it.
And I'm not taking away anything from Alex Smith because I'm sorry, that's the greatest comeback story in the history of sports. I don't care what anyone says, hands down. You're talking about you almost lost your leg and you came back and played an NFL football game. Psh, hands down, the greatest comeback story of all time. But Alex Smith was not the Alex Smith of old, and it showed. It showed he wasn't the same guy. But he got them to the playoffs because of that defense. He was just good enough on offense to score enough points for the defense to keep the other teams down to get to the playoffs. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, man, he comes out. All he'd have to do is come out there and have 3 good games, 3 on offense. Come out and throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns 3 times this year, and you're probably looking at 9-8, and that's probably good enough to win the NFC East.
You say like 9-8 with the 17
I know.
game schedule.
It's so weird. I almost said it was good enough to be 8-8, and then I'm like, wait, nope, can't say that.
Because unless you ask a Dallas fan, and then they're going to tell you that it won't be good enough to get in because Dallas will be going 11-6.
Dallas's problem is they paid way too much money for their offense,
Trust me, I agree. I agree with you on that.
and they have no defense.
Yeah.
They have spent a ton of money on offense. And that's why when Big B came out and said that Dallas was linked to Julio Jones, I don't see it. I don't think that they have enough cap space to do it because they're going to have to get rid of either Cooper or they're going to have to get rid of Elliott or somebody to even afford Julio Jones.
Well, that's the whole thing is when this all started, all these teams started getting linked to him. And like you said, Ace, it's a lot of cap space. And, it's like the teams that had the cap space are rebuilding. So, of course, they're not going to be linked to him, even though he'd probably help them out a little bit, like in Jacksonville, bring that veteran leadership in with all
Miami.
Miami's another one, too. That would be a good one. But, like I said, and as a Vikings fan, if Aaron Rodgers wants to stay in Green Bay, they're serious about keeping him there. I'd be like, go get me Julius Jones. And
Yeah, but the problem there too is you got to look at cap space again,
Oh, yeah.
and we just
No,
and
no.
we just don't have it. That's our biggest
No,
problem. We just
I get
don't
it,
have that cap space.
Well, you can't tell me you guys wouldn't like him there.
Oh well, I mean, I would love him there. I would love him there with
Nah,
Julio Jones
come
and
on.
Devontae Adams. I mean, come on, that would be a dynamic duo, a killer duo. Yeah, I would love it. But I could see him, like I was saying, I could see him with the Miami Dolphins too, because of the cap space that they have, and Dolphins have something building here. They really do have something building. And you even mentioned Jacksonville. I don't think that he would go to Jacksonville, but they could have something building there too with their franchise quarterback. They now have him. They're building for that future. They have James Robinson in the backfield now. They have Keelan Cole, DJ Chark. So they have a lot of young guys, and add Julio Jones there. Absolutely. Absolutely. They could make noise. But I'm not going to come out here and tell you that Jacksonville's going to be good, because every time we say it, Jacksonville ends up being a big dud and a flop. So I'm definitely not going to say that at all.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I say, yeah, it's hard to say where he's going to end up, but who's willing to pay that price? Because honestly, I think there's a dark horse. And I'm not a fan of this team. I never have been. But what about Las Vegas?
Could be.
Yeah, but do they got the assets they can move, though? I mean, they've been making some moves themselves. I mean, I actually thought you were going to say the Bears for a second there.
Oh, God, no.
The Bears don't have the cap space. No, they don't even have the cap space for that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we got what, 4 months until preseason?
Speaking of the Bears, though, I have never seen someone less enthused to be drafted in my life than Justin Fields. They're like, we traded up and we select Justin Fields, and he's just like,
yeah,
like, great. I'm going to Chicago. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, we've talked a little bit about.
Even you can agree with that, Big B. You're not even a Green Bay fan, and you can agree with that one. He was not excited to go to Chicago.
It's a little hard to be excited.
So talking about injuries and trading, I know this topic wasn't on there, but I just got the update, and this sucks, okay? If you're an Atlanta Braves fan, this sucks. Because I just got the update that Marcelo Zuna is going to be out for 6 weeks with a broken thumb and broken fingers. Oh man, that sucks. And Annapolis is already on the phone. He's trying to make calls to try and find a replacement for Ozuna. I don't know how you're going to find a replacement for him. I just don't.
It's not like he was playing awesome this year.
Well, go sign another catcher.
Yeah, I know. We'll probably go out and sign another catcher.
I mean, he was playing. He started playing better.
He was only batting like a 210, but still, the point is though is at some point he's gonna get hot. He's gonna catch fire, and you still need his bat in the lineup.
Okay, and most years I would be concerned. But you know what we need to be concerned with first is we need to get frickin' Will Smith from not being our closer anymore, because forget that guy. Like, I have never been more nervous in my life to have a 5-run lead in the 9th inning and they say Will Smith is pitching, and I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Right? Yeah,
because even though he got the save yesterday in the 3-1 win against Boston, he still had 2 guys at a 3-2 count, and that's what he's doing this year. And I'm done with Will Smith, so we need to address that. And why? Why do we have Smiley still starting? Can you explain it to me?
He allowed. Trust me,
7 runs
today. He allowed 7 runs to Boston, so it's.
See, you guys got that problem with Will Smith that the Twins back in the 90s and early 2000s had with Eddie Granado. Every time he came in, he was dominant every couple relief appearances, but you got him the ball.
Smith sucks. Yes.
Well, the thing is, but you get Eddie in the game when it was like a 1 or 2 run lead. It's like, okay, he's going to give up the long ball, so it's going to be a 1-run lead or a tie game. Now we got to sweat it out to see if we go into extra innings or he blows the game. So. I get what you guys are saying, because we had it here with Eddie.
I mean, why? Why do we have Smiley still starting? We've had Bryce Wilson, who's pitched the hell of a season this year, down in we keep sending him to AAA, and then we had Tucker Davidson, who's never thrown a big league inning in his life. Okay, in the regular season, comes up, throws 6 1/3 innings, gives up 2 earned runs and 5 hits. And what do we do the next day? We're like, oh yeah, you're going back to AAA, and we're gonna keep Drew Smiley. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Hey, at least you guys don't have an Uber driver in your rotation.
Oh man, like it just, man, I don't understand. I don't understand it. And I'm sorry, Snitker is what he is, but we need to move on.
So we have ranted about our Atlanta Braves. Okay, we have ranted about how much they have struggled. So now is going to be Big B's chance. You can now rant about the Minnesota Twins if you would like.
Man, there ain't really nothing changed on the front here. Buxton's rehab got pushed back. He's still having some tightness. They're playing Twins baseball. They look good a game or two. They look bad a game or two. They look good a game or two. They look bad a game or two. So, I mean, the bright spot right now, I would say, is Sano's coming around. He's starting to hit the ball, but he either hits it or he strikes out or, gets hurt. So
you did just win 2 or 3 games, and I think you beat the Tigers twice or something.
Oh yeah, we beat Baltimore. Times.
Yeah, Baltimore twice. I'm sorry, I forgot you beat Baltimore. So
as long as we stay out of the extra inning games, and you guys have the bullpen hurting, we're the same here. We get a good start, and then the bullpen comes in and gives us some runs and stuff. So. I mean, like I said, right now the bright spots, Sano's hitting the ball. Some of these young guys are hitting. So, we'll see what the next series brings against the Royals. I believe we start up with tomorrow. So, or not tomorrow, Friday, I think. So, we'll see. I mean, nothing too hard to rant about. As long as they're still playing good, they're out of last place. That's all that matters.
Right. All right. So now I'm going to jump to you, Big B, and tell you we have the WNBA update. So.
Okay.
Go ahead and give us that little WNBA update.
Well, speaking of rebuilding, the Lynx are rebuilding. They lost their key player to retirement before the season started. And let me just get here because I believe they're 0-3, I believe. I just want to make sure I'm right on that before I say anything.
You are right, sir.
Yeah, so 0-3. So, again, we're rebuilding. I mean, it's sad that they're one of the best teams in Minnesota right now that are rebuilding because they've had a decent run over the season. So I would be surprised if they finish, around the 500 mark, maybe make a slight run to the playoffs. I know WNBA is a little bit different in the playoffs, but it wouldn't surprise me if they missed it this year and they keep rebuilding. So see where it goes.
All right, J-Mac, now you can give us your WNBA update.
Well, I got to tell you, the Dallas Wings getting those 3 first-round picks this year, and I expected them to make some noise. And they haven't played terrible. I mean, they've started the season 1-2, so not awful. They have won a game. But the team that I'm super shocked with this year and how well they've played is the New York Liberty. My goodness, they are taking teams down. And, I mean...
If you remember, though, when we did predictions, I said, watch out. I said that the Liberty is going to be the surprising team. I came out and said that, and you guys wanted to laugh at me for it. And I said the Liberty was going to be a surprising team.
We did. And I'll tell you what, I didn't think that Sabrina Onskew was going to make that much of a difference in New York.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I will sit here and eat that humble pie all day. I was wrong. She is in the top 10 in scoring. She's top 10 in scoring. She is second in the WNBA in assists per game with 7.8. I believe she's near the top 10 in steals. I'd have to look that one up. But she has turned that team around almost single-handedly for the New York Liberty. So, yeah. But our Seattle Storm, are still in first place in the West. They're 4-1. No signs of slowing down there. And
What the
Las
Liberty?
Vegas Aces. Las Vegas Aces.
I mean, my Seattle Storm, led by Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart's second in the league in scoring, third in rebounds. The list goes on. I could keep going, but there's really no point. The Seattle Storm are going to take it again this year, in my opinion. And Breanna Stewart also leads the league in points per minute, or minutes per game, excuse me. So, yeah, there's that. There's the update.
Yeah, I'm telling you, just don't forget about the Liberty. I'm telling you.
But the
You
one
laughed
thing
at me
that-
before, don't laugh at me again. All right.
Well, the one thing that concerns me about the Liberty right now is their point differential is only a .14. So they're it's not like they're dominating their games. I mean, yeah, they're 5-1, and granted, a win's a win, no matter if you score more than 2 points or you blow them out by 50. So I mean, I get that, but their defense will be kind of concerning to me right now. So, but we'll see. I mean, the
They're
season
going to be fine. They're going to be fine.
All right.
Their defense is going to get better as the season goes, and we're going to be completely okay.
Okay.
All right.
By the way, real quick, before we move on to the next topic, I have to say this. This was brought to me this morning by a very reliable source, that the game today between the University of Florida Gators and I believe it was the Alabama Crimson Tide in women's softball was the first game to debut in primetime on ABC. In ABC history. So congratulations to you guys. Women's softball, you're making a splash and you're coming out and getting primetime slots. So congratulations on that.
I love
Hey,
it.
can we take credit for that since we talk about them a lot?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it was us. Yeah.
Right? It is. It's that primetime slot. We're getting them there because Coast to Coast Network is really building that up and talking about the women's sports every Wednesday. That's what we do. We talk about the women's sports. Just like tonight, we talked about the WNBA. That's something we do every Wednesday. But J-Mac, this comes to you now. This is your topic. This is now J-Mac Spotlight Player.
Yeah, so, I mean, where do we go tonight? So, any guesses as to what I'm going to bring up tonight at all?
You're going to bring up a power lifter from Russia.
Power lifter from Russia.
The
That could
1937 water polo team.
Ooh, good one. I actually like that. That's interesting. I should actually look that up. No, so I bring up guys that should be in the Hall of Fame that probably will
Or
not
girls.
make- or girls. Yes, you're correct. I'm sorry. Players. Let's just go players. I bring up
Yes.
players that should be in the Hall of Fame that are not and are not considered for the Hall of Fame. I mentioned him at the end of the last show on Wednesday, so we'll just go through his stuff tonight. London Fletcher is the spotlight player tonight. He played in the NFL for 16 seasons. Big B, in how many of those seasons do you think he played all 16 games?
You said how many seasons? How many seasons did he play? 16?
Yeah.
I'll go 12.
So he played 16 games. Now, I didn't say started. So he is only one of 5 players in NFL history to start over 250 consecutive games.
Wow.
He started 200. He played in 256 consecutive games. That equals to 16 seasons. He never missed a game in his NFL
Nice.
career. Yeah. He also has, and he holds the record for the most consecutive starts at the linebacker position. He was a linebacker and he never missed a game. Think about that. That's insane. So he started with the Rams. He actually was an undrafted free agent rookie. And his first year, he signed a contract for a 1-year deal for $158,000. In his first
Trump
year.
changed now.
Chump change now. And just you look at some of his career numbers. So in that year in which that he signed for $158,000, he didn't do great. He had 14 tackles that year. But the next year, when they re-signed him, and they signed him for another $158,000 in the second year in St. Louis, he had 90 tackles and 3 sacks on a $158,000 salary. Then they signed him to a 2-year deal, and every year after that, he had over 130 tackles. He finished his career with 2,032 career tackles in 16 years.
What years did he play?
He played from 98 to 2013.
Oh, okay.
And he played for St. Louis, Buffalo, and Washington. 2,032 career tackles, 39 career sacks, 12 fumble recoveries, 23 career interceptions. 92 passes defended. The list goes on. The sad thing is he only played in 9 playoff games in his career because of the teams that he played for, and he played in 7 of those in his first 4 years in St. Louis.
Yeah, and he's most known for playing for Washington. When everybody thinks of London Fletcher, they always go, "Oh, Washington," because that's like the team that they remember him on.
Yeah. And he actually holds the Washington record for most tackles in a playoff game with 15 in a playoff game. It was a loss, of course, because what else does Washington do in the playoffs but lose? Now, his 2,032 tackles in his career are 4 less than Ray Lewis. His 39 sacks are the exact same as Ray Lewis. His 23 interceptions, 1 less than Ray Lewis in his career. And his 12 fumble recoveries, 1 less than Ray Lewis. What is my point here? Ray Lewis was a first ballot Hall of Famer. No doubt everyone knew it. The problem for London Fletcher is what? As every guy that I bring up, he played on a losing team.
Well, that or rings, too.
And rings, which, I'm sorry, that shouldn't have anything to do with the Hall of Fame.
No, it shouldn't. It definitely shouldn't.
Because these guys, these players I keep bringing up are players that are all-time greats. London Fletcher was 256 games in a row at linebacker. That's insane to think that he was there every day for 16 years and never missed a game. And he's not even on a Hall of Fame ballot, by the way.
Football needs to change their process of getting these people in, I think.
Because it's all on a popularity contest sometimes. You're like, this guy has numbers that rival Ray Lewis, who's considered one of the greatest linebackers ever. Yep. And we're not even putting him on a Hall of Fame ballot to give the fans a chance to vote on it or the voters. Like, that's crazy. So London Fletcher's spotlight player tonight. Look up his stats. Let's get this going. Let's put pressure on the NFL to get him on a Hall of Fame ballot, please.
Gotcha. Absolutely. I agree with you, London Fletcher. So plus you have to make it to the Pro Bowl once. That was
no, I don't think that's
but yeah, I don't think that's actually
I don't think that's a legit stat. It helps, but
all right, so tonight we're going to actually do something a little different because I reached out to you guys the other day and I asked about this, so we're going to actually go over this tonight. We're playing our little GM game as far as baseball. And so, Big B, I will go ahead and I'll start out with you on this one. How is your team looking? Or I should say, how are your teams looking right now?
Combined record, we are 5 games under 500 as a combined record.
Okay, so just so our viewers are here, can you tell them which teams you have?
Yes, I got the Orioles, the Royals, the Angels. National League, I have Philly, Cardinals, and the Rockies.
All right, so with the Orioles, what position were they currently in?
Currently, they're in last. They were 0-7 last week, so they dropped big time.
So they got you 1 point so far. Okay.
Yep. So that's where I'm at there. The Royals, when we started the game, was 22-20 or 20-22. They won 3 games, lost, so they're 20. So they're right in the middle of the pack there. So they're number 3. The Angels started this at 18-24. They went 4-3 this past week, so they're sitting 4th. In the East, NL East, I got the Phillies. They're sitting 500 right now. They started off 22-21, so they went 500 this past, or 3-4, pushed them to 500, so they're sitting number 3. The Cardinals, I believe, were at the top when we started this at 25-18. They had a little rough week. They're 2-4 this past week, so they're 27-22. And then the Rockies probably did the best out of all my teams, I think. Started at 15-29, and they're now 19-30. They had a 4-1 week. So combined record, I got 19-21 for my 6 teams.
All right. So you're not doing so, but I mean points wise. So
Yeah,
points wise,
I'm in the middle of the pack. I got 3 that are hovering between 3rd and 4th. I'm sorry, 4 of them, and I got 1 last place and 1 first place.
Because I was going to say, now keep in mind, if they're in last place, they get you 1 point. If they're in 4th place, they get you 2. If they're in 3rd place, they get you 3. If they're in 2nd place, they get you 4. And 1st place, they get you 5.
Exactly.
So, J-Mac, we can turn to you and ask you on this. How are your teams looking?
I'm not doing as bad as I thought. The Twins coming out of last place kind of helps me. That gives me an extra point. But they're better than the Tigers, so that's not saying much. I still have the Pirates who are in last place. So I have 2 teams that have combined for 3 points between the Twins and the Pirates. But I do have the Red Sox who have 4 points, so that puts me at 7. I have the Astros who have 4 points, that puts me at 11. And I have the Giants who have 3 points, which is 14. And who is my last team is the Mets, who are in first place. That gives me 19. So I got 19 points between 6 teams. That's not terrible. I'll take it. Average, we're averaging about 3rd place overall.
So, not as bad as you originally thought. However,
No, but we are only, 50 games into the season.
yeah, but I will tell you, I think the Pirates are going to be in last for pretty much for the rest of the season. So you might as well tally 1 point there. Is there any team that you have right now that you can see them digging their way out of it, or potentially costing you points because you think that they're going to drop?
The Red Sox, I think, are going to drop. Just because of how well Tampa Bay is playing, and the Yankees are up and coming. So I think they might drop 1 spot. The Giants worry me because they're not supposed to be as good as they are right now. And the way the Padres and, they'll probably stay in 3rd place. So I'm probably looking at 3 points there. The Twins, I don't know what's going to happen with the Twins. They'll probably end up in last place, to be honest. And then the Mets. The NL East is the easiest division in baseball right now to win. I'm not even going to lie about that. And I'm a diehard Braves fan. Every team is hurting. The Braves have so many injuries, and yet they're 500 and 1 game out of first place.
Which
that tells you everything.
We're about to lose tonight, so
I understand, but look at that. I mean, you're talking about a team that is going to be 1 game under 500. Starting left fielder is hurt for 6 weeks. We haven't had a starting center fielder all season. We've been rotating those guys in and out. Let's see, Acuna's been down at some point this year. Albies has been down at some point this year. Travis d'Arnaud is gone. We're on our 5th catcher this year. Okay,
Ozuna's out now.
Ozuna's out. Why the hell we're still starting Smiley? I don't know. We need to get another starter in there. Other than him, I'm fine. Even Charlie Morton has played way better. He started pitching way better. So even as bad as we've been and as injured as we've been this year, we'll be 1 game under 500 and a game and a half out of first place. That's a pretty damn good start to the season. So the NL East is going to be the easiest division to win this year, I think.
All right, so right now you have the Mets, so you're not really sure, they could fluctuate. The Mets are banged up too, so they could end up dropping off here pretty soon. So when you look at the 6 teams that I have, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start out with the AL East. I have the New York Yankees. So right now, J-Mac, the Red Sox have you 5 points currently. Okay, right now the Yankees only have me 3 because they are sitting right there in 3rd place. But it's like you said, they are the up-and-coming team. So I think at some point they probably will leapfrog at that point, and they might get me up there and to that number 1 spot and give me that 5 points. And then I will jump to the AL Central, which I've got the Chicago White Sox. And right now the White Sox are in first place, and they have me currently 5 points. So that's a total of 8 points right there. And then what sucks is when you look at the AL West, I have the stinking Texas Rangers. And right now they're sitting in last place. They're horrible. I don't see them digging their way out of last place. So they're going to end up probably getting me 1 point. That's currently what they have right now. I don't think they're going to get any better. And then when I jump to the National League and we look at the National League East, I have the Miami Marlins. They're currently sitting in third place, so they have me 3 points. That team has me worried because I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I think they could dip off anytime. And then I have the NL Central. I have the Milwaukee Brewers. They're sitting in third place. They're kind of fluctuating back and forth right now between second and third and even fourth. So they are kind of concerning me too. And then last but not least, I have the LA Dodgers, which is sitting in second place right now in the NL West. And right now they have me currently 4 points. But they have the potential to actually jump up into that 1 slot over the San Diego Padres, which it could come. So when we look at overall points-wise right now, J-Mac, you said you're sitting at 19?
Yep.
All right, I'm currently sitting at 4, 7, 10, 15, 18, 19 myself. So we're sitting at 19 and 19. Big B, you said you had 19?
Oh, no, I got what, 10, 12, it looks like?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, we're way ahead of him.
yeah, so Big B got the crap into the stick. Like he got all the bad draws and but Big B, my final question for you before we go ahead and wrap up the show, is there any teams that you're currently looking at now that could potentially jump up there and get you points towards the end of it?
Phew, that's tough. I mean, AL East, Phillies, I mean, like you guys said, it's wide open right now, so Phillies could bounce back and move up. I think they're fourth right now, so they can bounce up. The Royals, if they keep playing the way they're playing, they could, maybe jump up to second. I think the White Sox got a lock on that division right now. And then my other ones, Cardinals, I just pray that they stay hot and stay in first. And then, the rest is, up in the air right now. So
All right.
we'll see where it goes.
And just so our viewers know, too, this was all completely random. This was not just at the point to where we're like, this is the team I'm taking in the East. This is the team. No, this was all completely random. We had to choose it, and these are the teams that we ended up with. Some of them crappy and some of them good. So I just feel bad on the J-Mac part because he got stuck with the Pirates, and there's no way they're digging their way out of last place.
The Pirates and the Twins. So
So you're going to probably end up with a total of 2 points between those two teams.
The Twins are the Twins. They could go on a run here. So out of all the teams, I think the Twins have the most upside right now to moving up. I think they're going to be the team that, could dig themselves out and make a run here if they get healthy. So
Just not the Pirates.
it's coming.
Pirates, they would have
That's
to.
that's coming from a Twins fan, by the way. Just remember that.
Yeah, but I got to beat you. But I'm giving props to one of your teams. So
I like it. Well, with that being said, anyways, that is actually it for Sports Minute tonight. We're almost at that hour mark that we can go ahead and wrap up. So, J-Mac, if you have any final thoughts, you got 30 to 45 seconds to go ahead and wrap it up.
I just want to thank everyone for watching, listening, however you watch us, listen to us, whatever. And we couldn't do this without you. Lifelong Dreams here. The Coast to Coast and MI6 are going to be the greatest sports network in internet history, so hang on for that. Also, Four Bros Radio Show Friday night. And everyone have a great and safe Memorial Day weekend. First unofficial camping weekend of the year. So when you're out there, please, please, please clean up after yourself. Leave it better than you found it. please help out our environment and do all that. But as far as that, thank you and have a good night.
And I keep saying Brandon Herrera,
No.
but Big B. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
yeah, like J-Max said, thanks for all the viewers watching. Thanks for everybody that's following us. Comments are always grateful. Yeah, the partnership we just developed with MI6 is going to be great. We're going to, collaborate with them, have some great shows, great content coming up. So can't wait to work with them. And again, thanks for everybody for following.
Absolutely. And I was very excited about this episode. We had some great topics. And so tomorrow night is Thursday, so you can actually watch the debut of Trey and I show that's called Speak Out. Tomorrow is going to be basically an all NBA show. That's what it is tomorrow. So you can look forward to that. And then also don't forget that there's also Smells Like Hope tomorrow night also. So look forward to that. And we will see you again next time for another episode of Sports Minute. Have a great night.